With today's lesson, we are going to look at functions, and this is the first lesson that we are having under the functions. So in here, we are going to look at how to find the inverse of a function, and also how to find the function of functions. So the first, the question here reads, the functions f and g, these are two functions, are defined by f of x is equal to 2x plus 1, and g of x is equal to 5x minus 1. Find a g inverse of x. So they want you to find the inverse of this function. So when you are finding the inverse, what are you supposed to do? So this is our function here, which is g of x is equal to 5x minus 1. So what are you supposed to do? The first thing that you have to do is to let g of x be equal to y. So let g of x be equal to y. So where there is g of x, you replace it with the y. So here where there is g of x, you are going to replace it with the y, which is going to be 5x minus 1. Then after that, you are now going to make x to be the subject of the formula. So you let this -1 cross the equal sign comes here, which is going to be a positive. In other words, you find the additive inverse of -1, you add it to the both sides. So this is -1, the additive inverse of -1 is 1. So when you add 1 this side, you add this one the other side, you remain with a 0. But in most cases, we just say, let this constant number cross the equal sign here so that it becomes a positive. So I'm going to have y plus 1 is equal to 5x. In this case, our main interest is remaining with the x as our subject of the formula. So we are going to divide both sides with a 5. So that when you divide 5 divided by 5, it's 1. 1 times x, you remain with what? X, which is equal to y plus 1 over 5. So have we finished? Not yet. The last part now, you now let x to be equal to g of x inverse. And where there is y this side, you are going to replace it with what? With x. Since our function here contains x and not a y. So where there is x, we are going to replace it with what? With the g of x inverse is equal to, where there is x, where there is y this side, we are going to replace it with what? With an x. So this means we are going to have x plus 1 over 5. So this is our inverse, our g of x inverse. So after finding the f of g inverse, we are now going to find the f of g of x. So this one contains two functions within a function. So what is the procedure here? We know that f of x is equal to 2x plus 1, and we know that g of x is equal to 5x minus 1. So when you are solving this question, f of g of x, where there is g of x, you are going to replace the function of g of x, which is 5x minus 1 is equal to. So before we had included 5x minus 1, there was x here as f of x. So what is that function of f of x? It is what? 2x plus 1. So in this case now, where there is x in this function, we are going to replace it with the what is inside the brackets here, which is the g of x. Others, you may see them writing it like f g of x is equal to 2g of x plus 1. That simply means where there's x in this function, you replace it with g of x. Okay, so this is going to give us what? 2, where there's x we put 5x plus 5x minus 1, then plus 1. Here now we expand by multiplying 2 throughout with everything inside the brackets. So we're going to have what? 10x minus 2, then plus 1. Of which the final answer are going to have what? 10x minus 1. When you subtract negative 2 plus 1. So this same procedure here, this is our f g of x. When you follow it to this side also, it is the same. So when there's g of x, you replace the g of x. So I'm going to have 2, g of x is 5x minus 1, close, then there's plus 1. When you expand, you're going to still have the same answers, 5x minus 2 plus 1. And your final answer will be 10x minus 1 as the final answer. So this is how you find the functions, two functions in one function. Okay, then the last question, they are asking us to find the fg of negative 3. So this simply means in your equation there where there is a x, you replace it with a negative 3. Okay, so f g of negative 3. We know that our f g of x is 10x minus 1. So this simply means where there's x, we are going to replace it with negative 3. So our f g of negative 3 is going to be 10, open brackets, negative 3 minus 1. So this we are going to have negative what? 30 minus 1, which is going to give us negative what? 31 as our final answer of f g of negative 3. So this is how to find functions. Watch out for the next video under the functions, where we are going to explain more on how to find the inverse, also the functions of functions, more especially when you have the functions which are fractions. So thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for the next video.